Alright, in this video we're going to go over on how to fully rebuild a Honda 400EX carburetor. And you might ask yourself, who is this guy telling me what to do? Well, my name's JP, and I've gotten at least one four-wheeler running, so I'm pretty much a YouTube expert now. And this is what you're going to need: various screwdrivers, flatheads, Phillips head, 6mm wrench, or this is just a socket on a little handle. You're going to need a rebuild kit. Now you can get this from Rocky Mountain ATV. I will put this in the description. And this is the little S hose right here. Now you don't have to have this, but it's always a good idea to buy one of these because this one's like rock hard. So those are only a couple bucks from Rocky Mountain as well. And you probably want some brake cleaner. So the first thing we want to do here is take these 4 bowl screws out. There's one right there. These are pretty nasty, so you want to make sure you probably clean those out. If you don't get the dirt out, they will strip. Actually, before you take the bowl off, you will want to loosen these 3 screws on the accelerator pump. You'll need a different kit for this little section of the carburetor to rebuild this accelerator pump. I didn't think about that, but I'll put one in the description. All right, so once you get those 3 screws out, this should just pop up. This one's a little stuck. There's a spring under here, so be very careful. So you can see, yeah, it's a good thing we take this apart. Look at all that junk in there. Damn, brother. Here's a spring. Now this is the part that usually goes bad. This is the diaphragm. And this one does seem pretty hard. Now, I'm going to be careful because I don't want to rip it. And this comes out like so. Like that. Alright, so another thing we want to do before we pull the bowl off is we want to loosen this screw right here. This is for the idle. This is just going to make it easier to get this bowl off. Okay, now that this idle thing is off, we can take the bowl off. Alright, actually not too bad. This is pretty good. Pretty clean. Yours is probably going to look really bad. You don't want any junk in here. Now, this is your float. This is your main jet. And then this is your pilot jet in here. So, what you're going to do is maybe take the edge of your little flathead screwdriver, push this pin through, and this pin will come out, and then here's your needle jet. Now sometimes these needle jets, or not needle jet, but this needle valve will get stuck, so sometimes it won't come out that easy. We can take out our main jet here, that's 6mm. Now if your bike is all stock, most likely the jets in our rebuild kit will be just fine for you, but if you have a muffler, an intake or something, a different air filter, your size main jet and pilot jet will be different. It'll be jetted for your setup. So the big thing is to make sure that these are clear. So if you're running a completely stock bike, the jets in here should be perfectly sized to your machine. Now we'll take the pilot jet out. This is a flathead. Sometimes you got to find a really specific flathead to get these out. This one's really skinny. I think I ground the sides down on it. Now this one is clear. Now, just because you can see daylight or blow through it does not mean it's 100% clear. When you look through this hole, it should be a perfect circle. You can get one of these little jet cleaner tools. Now, usually right out of the box, they don't come with a wire that's really small enough. You kind of have to unwind them. And you can see right here, this one is very thin and small. And you just work it back and forth until it goes through. Which this might have a small enough hole that this won't go through. Let's see. Now, you only need to clean these jets out if, like I said, if your machine has a exhaust, some sort of modification that throws the jetting off. And that's only assuming that your jets and your carburetor have been changed to match your setup. And that's how you know your jet is 100% clear. It's when you can get that wire all the way through. You can also use the brake cleaner to, kind of squirt it through like that. Now you do want to make sure you don't get this gasket, even though our kit does come with one. It's always good practice to make sure you take any rubber out. If you're using the brake cleaner, take any rubber out, and because this could swell. Which I'm surprised our Shindy rebuild kit does not come with a base or bowl gasket here, an O-ring. It's kind of upsetting. But there's an O-ring in here, and this is a 17 millimeter bowl cap, screw, whatever. Alright, another area of interest we need to discuss is this air fuel mixture screw right here. You can see mine has lots of dirt on the outside. So there should be that spring, and there should also be a small little washer and a small O-ring. I think there's the washer. Typically you have to get a pick to get that O-ring out. Okay, so this little pick here. Here we go, here comes the O-ring. Well, let's see here. Here's the O-ring right there. So you want to make sure you get that guy out. So I'll go over this when we put it back together, but this is what your stack should look like. The spring, the washer, and then the O-ring. 3 screws off the top. There's nothing super crucial under here, but it's always good to double check everything. There is an O-ring in here. Oh yeah, it's dirty in there. Now we don't really need to take this out, but this is how it should be functioning, like that. I'm going to take this little valve off right here, this little plastic valve, because we're actually going to put this in my ultrasonic cleaner. Now we don't need to, you don't have to have an ultrasonic cleaner, but it's going to get all the nastiness off this carburetor on the outside and the inside. And it looks like there's 2 O-rings here, one right here. These are not in our kit, so do not lose these. Actually, this Shindy kit right here, wherever it went, right there. Oh look, this is a whole little tube that goes right there. I will say I'm kind of disappointed in our Shindy kit here. It doesn't come with exactly everything you need to rebuild the carburetor. It does come with most parts that you need though. Alright, so here's our carburetor. Here's our bowl. And I'm going to dunk this in my... Oh, here's our accelerator pump bowl. And here's this guy. Alright, here's all our little tiny parts. I'm going to put them in this little holder. We're going to put all this in the ultrasonic cleaner. Alright, so I'm not running anything crazy in the ultrasonic cleaner. It's just Dawn dish soap and purple power. It's heated, and we're going to let this run for 30 minutes, which is really overkill. You really only need it in here for 10-15 minutes tops, but oh well. Okay, I got everything out of the ultrasonic cleaner here. Now, like I said before, you don't have to have an ultrasonic cleaner to do this, but it does help. Now, you do want to make sure, even if you ultrasonic clean or not, look how good it looks. But here's some, key areas you need to make sure are flowing. The hole right here, the hole actually, there's a little teeny tiny hole right there. Right, that you need to make sure that's cleared. And if you also look, it also kind of goes over here, and your pilot jet is connected. Your pilot jet is connected to that. So basically I'll show you how to squirt that out. Right here where our main jet goes in, you need to make sure that's cleared out. Same thing right here with the needle jet, or I don't know why I always say needle jet. It is the needle valve. You always need to make sure that's cleared out. That's going to go from here. You can kind of see how it goes. It goes right. It comes in and then it shoots over, and you just want to make sure you can just blow on this with your mouth. Yeah, that's plenty clear. I just did a carburetor on a Honda CRF70, and even after ultrasonic cleaning, there was a lot of junk plugged up in here. So I like to spray the brake cleaner in here, and you can see it's coming out this hole too. So that should be clear. Same thing right here. We'll go straight through. You see how it hits the front of this slide right here. Came out right there, so that's clear. We already confirmed that this needle seat valve is flowing, and the main jet one's pretty big. So those are all the crucial areas you need to make sure. Now, of course, if you see any other holes that you want to, go after. So on the bowl here, we have some little holes here. I got to figure out which ones are which here. One of these goes to this guy. Can't remember. Actually, shit. So you can see this little hole right here. This should go right through to this one. This hole right there. That's clear. Now this hole right here should go to this. So this one's a little bit harder to test it here. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe that's plugged. Okay, yes. So I was right. This is a different carburetor bowl. This right here is supposed to squirt out like that, right out this guy. So, see, this is why you always double check things. So I guess I got to figure out how to unclog this, which does not exactly seem like the most easy thing to do. Okay, I don't know what I did, but I did get it to clear up here, and it is coming out of this, so that's good. So right here on the little accelerator pump cover, should be able to blow through this one right here. See how it comes out the middle? You need to make sure that's clear. Same with this one right here. And same with this guy. This is a little leak jet right there. So if I cover this, you can see it comes out there. Comes out right there when I cover this. Now here's our Shindy rebuild kit. Now this is made in Japan, so this is basically OEM quality. The All Balls racing ones are made in China, and I'm not sure if they're more complete. I will say I'm a little disappointed this one is missing some things, such as the O-ring for the drain bowl here. But most likely this kit is going to have everything you need in it. Okay, so I just checked the jets that are supplied here, the shiny ones, and mine. And mine are original stock, which is 38 pilot and 148 main jet. The main jet is the hexagon one, and that is what they supplied here. And I guess whoever had the machine before me did not rejet because I have exhaust and air filter. So quick internet search tells me I should run a 42 and probably a 170 main, 165 main to 170 main, and a 42 pilot. Now, I'll put this in the description. You can just get these cheap Amazon jets. They're all the same. I've had good luck. They are sized correctly. So I'm just going to grab a 170 and a 42. All right, so here's our 42 pilot jet right there. And it goes in this hole right here. Doesn't have to be super tight. You might have to use a special screwdriver for this, special flathead. And then here's our 170 main. That's a 6 millimeter, just snug. Alright, so next we need to put our float in. So you want to make sure this is clean, no junk on it. And here is our new needle valve. Now it's good to double check that this is the same as what was in there. Looks pretty good, looks close. Has some small minor differences, but I think it's gonna fit right. So basically this goes in here like this, and then this drops down on the carburetor like that. And our pin goes in right here. Like that. Now what I like to do is, it's kind of weird maybe, but I blow right here on where the gas goes in and push this up and down. And when you push it up, it should shut off the fuel. So that's good. This does not have an adjustable float, so we won't be going over that. Okay, so before you put the bowl on, don't make the same mistake I just did, and you won't even know it because I'm editing this in. You gotta put this little slosh plate in. Now you can do without it, but it comes in there from the factory and it does help, I'm sure. Kind of keeps the fuel all around that main jet. All right, so next we'll go ahead and put on our bowl gasket. Oh, shit. All right, so next we'll go ahead and put our bowl gasket on. Pretty simple, just slides down in there. Can use like a rubber cement to hold this down if it's giving you issues. What I do is kind of hold it like this, and then that way the gasket doesn't fall off. Now this is one thing I was upset with, is they didn't give you new screws here. Some of the kits give you new screws for the bowl. We can also mount our idle screw right here, which is one big Phillips head. Now right here is where we need to put our idle fuel mixture screw in. This is what our old one looked like. Okay, so here's our new one. We do need to assemble it. Looks like we got a new O-ring too. This O-ring goes here. It just goes on like so. And then here's the little kit, a little baggie full of goodies. So this is actually going to be for our needle. We have not done that yet. This is the orientation, so we're going to put the spring on first. Then the washer goes on. And then the O-ring. Like I mentioned earlier, make sure that you get the O-ring, the old one, out of here. So looks like we can just stick it in like this. Now we're going to turn this all the way in. Shouldn't be super tight, but we're going to bottom it out. Alright, that's bottomed out, and then we're going to do 2 turns out. So that's half. I'm going to do a different screwdriver. One and a half, 2. Now that's a good baseline. You do need a special 90-degree tool if you need to adjust this later, or you have to take the carburetor off, which is not ideal. Next is the accelerator pump diaphragm here. I'll put a kit in the description. These are pretty common to get hard, and this one honestly isn't the best. It's not falling apart, but I do see some cracks forming, but this side is good. So I don't have another one, so we're going to put this one in. But also, when you do put it in, make sure you don't lose this guy. This guy should go here. This is just a little rubber seal. Now this rubber boot right here, you actually do need to make sure it's in there probably before you put the bowl on. or you can take this screw right here off like I just did. So on the accelerator pump here, we have this spring. Spring goes right there. Here's our accelerator pump cover. Now you do need to make sure you line this up correctly and make sure this is all cleaned out. So this does go like this right here. This is just 3 Phillips screws. Put the cap back on here, the drain. Doesn't have to be super tight. Now, our new kit did come with a new needle. So I guess we'll go ahead and put that in. Some people will say we should have taken this out to begin with, which if you're just cleaning the carburetor, you don't really need to take this out. There's 2 screws down the bottom here. These are tricky when we go to put them back in. So yeah, if you're cleaning it out, you don't have to do this. But if you have if you want to rebuild the carburetor, right? I guess it's, you know, correct to put the new needle in. Take this screw out here. This is going to allow this arm to flip up. Take this screw out like that. Now this arm should flip up like so. This guy pops out, goes like that, and then we can just pull the slide up. So now you can see here's our needle. And it was in the middle clip. So our kit came with a new clip too. So we'll put this in the middle notch as well. Now just drop the needle back in. And it only goes one way. Looks like this notch right here goes towards the arm. Alright, so this goes back down in there, the little arm. And this is where it's tricky to get those 2 screws lined back up. But you can do it, I promise. So now I got the 2 screws down here tightened up, and this screw. I need to put on our cover here. Just this gasket right here. Let's see, it goes this way. Now if you remember this little valve, this is some sort of valve for like a backfiring. I'm not sure, but make sure there's an O-ring on here. And it looks like this little brass guy goes in there. And then there's an O-ring on that too as well in the brass. And we just have this little screw right here. Now this hose also hooks back up on the front of the carburetor to this guy. Alright, now I am going to use this cover off my China carburetor because someone has bent this thing up. You can see it's kind of ovaled out there. We need to make sure this thing seals. But this little cover guy, this goes right here on this front hole, screw hole. All right, and here is your rebuilt carburetor. Should at this point your machine should run really good. It's always a good idea to double check all this. Make sure the slide and the butterfly are opening at the same time. And the only thing left to do is put it on the machine and then put this cover back on with the 2 screws. So if you found this video helpful, be sure to give me a like, be sure to subscribe, and hope your machine runs good.
Real Jesse Peterson finds in the rough, dirt bikes my friend. YouTube's rolling to the